Imagine this. You walk through life, carrying a compass calibrated to kindness, honesty, and fairness. You follow its needle diligently, believing it points towards success, respect, and a world that operates on reciprocal goodness. Yet, time and again, you find yourself bruised, overlooked, trampled by those whose compasses seem wildly uncalibrated, pointing instead towards self-interest, manipulation, and a chilling pragmatism. You do the right thing, extend the hand of trust, offer vulnerability, only to have it slapped away, ignored, or worse, exploited. How many times have you felt the cold sting of this paradox? How often have you watched the calculating rise while the virtuous stumble? You've been taught that nobility is its own reward, that the universe somehow balances the scales in favor of the good heart. But a persistent whisper, born from experience, gnaws at that belief. It asks, what if the rules you were taught are not the rules the world actually plays by? What if your unwavering commitment to goodness, as you understand it, is the very chain keeping you tethered to mediocrity, a predictable target in a game you don't even realize you're playing? Could it be that the map you're using leads not to the promised land, but deeper into a territory designed to benefit the wolves, leaving the sheep perpetually lost and wondering why their inherent goodness isn't enough? This isn't just a question of fairness. It's an existential ache, a fracture in the reality you thought you knew. The discomfort you feel isn't an illusion. It's the friction between the world as you wish it were and the world as it often operates. Niccolò Machiavelli, centuries ago, diagnosed this ailment with brutal clarity. He saw that the engine driving human affairs wasn't pure reason or inherent morality, but a complex interplay of ambition, fear, and self-preservation. Human nature, he observed, is fickle, often selfish, and capable of profound cruelty when perceived necessity dictates. To ignore this, to build your life strategy solely on the expectation of virtue in others, is akin to navigating a minefield blindfolded, armed only with good intentions. Thinkers like Friedrich Nietzsche echoed this, challenging the slave morality that champions meekness and submission, suggesting instead a will to power, a drive to assert oneself and shape reality. Carl Jung might point to the necessity of integrating the shadow, those darker, denied aspects of ourselves and humanity. By refusing to acknowledge the potential for cunning, manipulation, and ruthlessness in the world, and perhaps dormant within ourselves, we leave ourselves defenseless. We project our own idealized values onto others, creating a psychological blind spot that predators, those who do understand the darker currents, exploit with ease. The problem isn't your kindness. It's your unwillingness to pair it with a shrewd understanding of the complex, often morally ambiguous, terrain of human interaction. The consequences of this naivete ripple silently through your life, shaping your reality in ways you may not even perceive. Believing solely in inherent fairness creates a cognitive trap. You become predictable. Others learn that your reactions are governed by a moral code they may not share, making you easy to manipulate. They know you'll hesitate to assert yourself, fearing you'll violate your own principles of goodness. They understand you'll likely give the benefit of the doubt, even when red flags wave furiously. This isn't strength, it's a strategic disadvantage. Society, through cultural conditioning and simplified narratives, often reinforces this vulnerability. We are fed stories where the purely good always triumph, ignoring the countless historical and contemporary examples where strategic acumen, even ruthlessness, pave the path to power and influence. You might find yourself consistently passed over for promotion despite your competence, simply because a less talented but more self-promoting colleague understood how to manage perception. You might feel perpetually drained in relationships, giving endlessly without reciprocation, because you haven't learned to set boundaries grounded in a realistic assessment of others' motivations. This isn't just bad luck. It's the outcome of playing by idealized rules in a pragmatic arena. The urgency isn't to abandon your values, but to escape the invisible cage built by a one-sided understanding of the world. Now, imagine a rebellion, not against morality itself, but against the crippling naivete that accompanies unstrategic goodness. This is where Machiavelli offers not a descent into villainy, but an ascent into awareness. He proposes what we might call intelligent kindness or strategic virtue. It's not about betraying your principles, but about understanding that kindness, deployed without wisdom, becomes a weakness. It's about learning to read the intentions behind the masks people wear, to discern when trust is warranted and when vigilance is essential. Think of the great figures you admire, those who achieved lasting impact. Did they succeed solely through passive goodness? Or did they understand how to navigate the shadows, how to be cunning when necessary, how to balance ethics with pragmatism? They learned that morality can be a tool, not just an unyielding dogma. Knowing when to show vulnerability and when to project strength, when to speak and when to remain silent, when to extend trust and when to keep your guard raised. This is the art of the player, not the pawn. This rebellion involves mastering the perception others have of you. As Machiavelli taught, image is often paramount. If you appear weak, you will be treated as weak. If you project strength and resolve, even when benevolent, you command respect. This isn't deceit. It's the conscious management of how you are perceived in a world that judges appearances swiftly and often superficially. Breaking free means learning to be good without being harmless. Here lies the ultimate truth, the realization that separates those who merely survive from those who shape their destiny. Power, in its most profound sense, resides not just in external force, but in internal mastery and the sophisticated understanding of perception. It's not enough to be strong. You must appear strong. It's not enough to be intelligent. You must project intelligence. Why? Because, as Machiavelli understood, reality often matters less than the perception others hold of you. Think about it. The incompetent person who projects confidence often goes further than the brilliant but insecure one. The manipulator who masters their narrative can sway opinions more effectively than the honest person who lays all their cards on the table. This isn't a call to become manipulative, but to recognize that the narrative is part of the game. The true mastery lies in controlling your narrative, in managing the flow of information, in understanding the power of strategic silence and calculated patience. The world values power, security, and the ability to make tough decisions. Kindness gains respect only when backed by authority, by the implicit understanding that you could act decisively if necessary. Absolute transparency is often confused with weakness. The ability to hold back, to maintain a degree of mystery, creates uncertainty in others. Uncertainty breeds curiosity, and curiosity directed correctly grants influence. The greatest players aren't always present, shouting the loudest. They understand the value of scarcity, the impact of absence followed by decisive presence. They know, as the hunter does, that power isn't in constant motion, but in waiting for the perfect moment to strike with surgical precision. Those who dominate the game are not the strongest physically, but the ones who remain internally calm while chaos erupts around them. The ones who control their emotions and thus control the perceptions of others. This is the final key. Integrate your awareness of the world's harsh realities with your own values, becoming not just good, but strategically effective. Stop being a victim of the game, an open book for anyone to read and exploit. Learn the rules, the real rules, and become the architect of your own narrative. The player who understands the board, not just the pawn, moved by unseen hands. The world won't change its nature for you, but you can change how you navigate it. The question remains, echoing in the silence. Will you?